Hey there neighbors, Kevin here with eTrailer, and today we're out at Mark Twain Lake with our neighbors. We're actually out at their permanent campsite, and we're going to be doing a little bit of work on their trailer while we're out here. One of the major things that we're going to be doing is swapping over the regulator. So just last year while our neighbor was out hunting, he was trying to take a shower. He's got a Furrion tankless water heater and was having a really good shower, and then all of a sudden it went instantly cold because he ran out of propane and he had to come all the way out to the outside here so that he could open up the bottle and have it switch over, because he doesn't already currently have an automatic changeover regulator, unlike our one that we have here today. So one of the misconceptions is that this little knob here on the top that you can turn between the two tanks is going to be what actually sets which tank you're going to be using. But actually that's just for the indicator that's right here. It's going to be pulling from the tank, and then if this one depleted while we're still using our gas, it's going to automatically switch over so that there's not an interruption and we can keep that gas flowing. So taking a closer look at our regulator here, there's going to be two ports which are going to be our inlets from our tanks, and those are going to require pigtails with a 1/4-inch flare fitting, and you can see just that right there. Now on your older style ones, a lot of them were that 1/4-inch or 3/8 inch, sorry, fitting that would just be in here, just like you see just down below. But now on a lot of the newer ones, they're switching over to that inverted flare. So with that, you're not going to need any kind of sealant tape. It's going to go right in and form a nice seal with it. If we look down below, we're going to have our out, which is going to be running out our main line, which is also a 3/8 fitting. It's going to go right there. We got that main line. It's going to be a lot larger typically on your trailers that's running out. So now's a good time to get down here and inspect everything. So one of the things we also noticed was our pigtails are rock solid. These are dry rotted. These are not really going to be too useful to us anymore, so we're going to be swapping those out as well. We've got a couple of hoses from MB Sturgis with us today that are going to make a nice replacement for these. So why don't we just get right into the install here. First thing we're going to do, make sure that we turn off our propane, both sides. We want to make sure that both of these are closed. We don't want any gas leaking out while we're doing our work here. From there, we can then disconnect our pigtails. You can see just how hard those are. They're not really flexible any longer. If you needed a little bit more room, we could disconnect our holder right here, and then we could pull the whole assembly off. I'll go ahead and I'll spin this up just so that we can get this out of here and get you guys a better look at it. All right, so we got that off. Can pop out our propane, and can't go too far. My line going out isn't long enough, so at least this got this a little bit higher up for us, a little bit easier to work on now. I'm going to disconnect that from there so that way I get a little bit more room and I can just set this against here and then take it fully off. Looks like our line coming from the trailer is a female fitting, and since the bottom of our regulator requires a male fitting, we are going to have to seal the old adapter fitting that was on our previous regulator. So I am going to put that back on there, but I'm going to clean those threads out real good, and then I'm going to put some actual sealant tape on there. And I'm going to tighten up this side here with our inverted flare fitting, 3/4. Alright, nice and tight. We'll get our new regulator put on. I'm going to get the out threaded in there. Now we are tightening up. I switched over, so on the regulator side I'm just using an adjustable crescent wrench. On the fitting side I've got an 11/16. Now that one might change for you just depending on what your setup is, so keep that in mind as well. Let's get this nice and tight, and we'll come back after we get all this done with some soapy water and just give it a good test. I got the tanks out of the way, give us some more room to work here. And I drilled a new hole in our holder here just because the way this was set up before, it wasn't going to work as the bracket was hitting up here at the top of the regulator. So next we're going to get our tanks back in place, and then we can get our topper on here and then work on our pigtails. And we were swapping out the regulator for him, but realized his pigtails were in some pretty bad condition. As you can see, they're rock hard right now. They're pretty dry rotted out. So this is just not really a safe combo. This is something we should easily just swap out. So first thing is taking a look at your new regulator or the current regulator that you have and making sure that you have the correct connection type. And if you don't, making sure that you get the correct adapter so that way you can. Now with ours today, it's going to require a 1/4 inch female inverted flare fitting, which, it has a female. We have the male version right here with our pigtail. And then the other one's gonna be that type 1 that's gonna match right up to our gas tanks. So this is gonna be a pretty simple install here. We're just gonna be putting this right in because there's no sealant needed when you use this inverted flare fitting like this. And then just that type 1 fitting's super simple to put on, just a quick turn. So we've got our regulator here. We're gonna get this started. We'll get that kind of turned in on here. Now obviously the cord's gonna wanna fight you just a bit. But once we get that started by hand, I'm gonna come back and tighten that up with my 7/16 wrench. There we go. And then all we have to do is just loop it up and hook that right to our tank. And we're good with that side already. All we have to do, swap over and we'll get our other one. Give this a good test. Now you can see my regulator's moving around a whole bunch. There used to be nuts here to stop this from moving so that way you could actually set the height on it. They've rusted away at this point, so unfortunately our regulator is going to be moving on us. This is a little reminder, maybe go and double check yours before you go and do some work on it, and you can pick up some of that hardware ahead of time so that way you can get it all fixed up all at once. But with that said, we're just going to push on our type 1 fitting. And you can kind of loop these up a little bit. I might even redo this one, just kind of the same as that. There we go. That way they'll sit nice when we go to put our cover back over our tanks. We need to test our system here, make sure that there's no leaks. So I'm going to open up my supply. So right now we have it switched over, so it's going to start with this tank. If I wanted to check what the reading was on the other tank, same thing, I could open that up. Since this is an auto changeover regulator, it's going to automatically swap between the tanks in the event that one does empty. Now I know this tank's more full than this one, so it's not really going to show me much of a difference on here. But to say if this one was actually empty, then we would start to see red here, or when our supply switches or empties out here, this is going to turn red, and then this one will automatically come on. If you wanted to see it, you would need to come back over and swap that over. Now, with that on, let's go ahead. I'm going to spray every single one of my connections with a little bit of soapy water. And what we're looking for here is new bubbles forming. Obviously, there's going to be some bubbles from us spraying, but we shouldn't see any new bubbles starting to pop out, which looks like we are pretty good. A couple more sprays just to be sure. And I am not seeing any leaks. So that's pretty much it when it comes to this kind of install. This is super easy, something you can easily do yourself. That being said though, if this is something where you just don't really feel too comfortable messing with your propane, you want somebody else to take care of it just to make sure that you're giving it that extra look, and you know that someone's taking the extra time to make sure you and your family are safe out on your camping trips, then please feel free to use our dealer locator, and you can enter in your zip code to find a shop near you and get it professionally installed. Now when it comes to our regulator, there's really not much maintenance to it. Realistically, you just want to keep this out of the rain, essentially. So throwing over one of those white covers like we have over our propane tanks, just like this guy right here, makes it super easy. The other part of this is really just making sure that the vent never gets covered or clogged up. Mud daubers love to come up in here and start to build mess and stuff, so make sure that you're keeping an eye on that and cleaning that out every now and then. Otherwise, that's going to throw off your pressure in there, and then you're not going to be having what you need to actually run your propane appliances. So like I said, really that's it. We've got a little cover that was on our old one. It's slightly too large, but since our camper sits here full time, adding that back on just to make sure that it's kind of giving us a little bit more protection for our regulator's vent, it's going to be all worth it. The other thing with this is that This one is going to be rated for about 262,500 BTUs per hour. So the thing with that is making sure that all of your propane appliances, you're going to want to check out what the demand is going to be on that. Now, that's not saying you have to run every single propane appliance at once, but in the event that you are running maybe your water heater, the furnace, plus you're also running the gas stove at the same time, you need to make sure that you have enough supply to meet that demand. So go around, check out what the BTU poll is for each one of those appliances. You can come back, make sure that your regulator is fully able to handle that draw on it. And that's pretty much going to be it for this video. So if you have any other questions, my name's Kevin. Please feel free to reach out to us via our Ask the Experts link, a comment on this video, or a phone call to our customer service department, and we'd be happy to help you out on your journey.